Welcome back for the next set of exercises. It's me, Brandon, again. We're going to go ahead and walk through configuring the theme to provide some administrative options for the administrator selecting the theme and needing to configure some of the aspects of the site presentation. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in some Portlet Decorators. You can call them widget decorators. These will allow administrators, when they're setting up the different widgets on the page or content on the page, to determine how that content is being presented through the widget. And then we'll also add some custom theme settings that can be managed by a site administrator as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my server running again. I'm still within my theme in the terminal, and I have my source and my exercise source up, as well as my editor. So let's go ahead and go to our exercise source. This time we're going to be in the web.inf folder. Let's go ahead and copy the Liferay plugin package.properties from our exercise source to our theme source. This is going to overwrite or replace the existing plugin package.properties. So if you want to open this up and take a look at this, this just gives us some basic information about the Livingston Fjord theme. But what we're really interested in here for making our theme customizations is the Liferay lookandfeel.xml. So go ahead and open that up from our theme. You can see there are some settings that are already included in our theme that allow administrators to configure things like color palette, whether or not they want to show the footer or the header, etc. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and add some widget decorators or portlet decorators here, as well as some theme settings for our social media icons and links. So let's start with the portlet decorators. So again, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the comment here, type in LFR, and choose that first snippet. Now what this will do for us is it's going to give us a few other options for our portlet decorators. If you've used the classic theme before, you may have noticed if you go to the look and feel configuration for any widget on the page that you have the options bare bone, borderless, and decorate. What we want to do is we want to add an additional one called solid. Now we're going to go ahead and add our own custom CSS for the Portlet Solid option, and this will give us 4 options for how to decorate our widgets on the page. So we need to go ahead and add our CSS styling for our Portlet decorators. So let's go ahead and do that in our theme. So we can go ahead and come out of the web.inf folder. We're going to jump back to the CSS folder. We have our global files here, we have our partials, and we have our Portlet folder. In this case, the Portlet folder is going to contain our Portlet Decorator.scss. So let's go ahead and open this up. We can type in LFR, and we can add in the Portlet Decorator snippet. So this gives us some basic styling for our different Portlet decorators. And now, once we deploy this, we can go ahead and make these changes on our widgets. So we'll go ahead and deploy all of this at the end, but if you'd like, you can feel free to pause at this point, deploy your changes, or if you're running Gulp Watch, see those changes, and take a look at the look and feel configuration of the widget on the page. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in our theme settings. So I'll go ahead and just save this here. I'm going to come back to my lookandfeel.xml. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this second comment here for inserting the second snippet. Type in LFR and choose the theme settings snippet here. And what this does is it gives us 4 more configurable theme settings for Facebook icon and URL, as well as Twitter icon and URL. Now, if Livingston actually had a site here, I can go ahead and add in the actual Livingston links for the Facebook page, the Twitter page, or any other links that I wanted to add here as well. But it doesn't stop here. What I need to do next is I need to go ahead and add my custom variables to the Init custom file, which is a FreeMarker file. Mentioned in an earlier exercise that the Init.ftl in the build includes all of the default variables that you can use throughout your theme's FreeMarker. In this case, we want to add some custom variables to use within our FreeMarker. So we're going to place that in the Init custom.ftl, and it's going to be read at the very, very bottom of the Init FTL. Just to show you what that looks like here, I can go ahead and go to the build, go to templates, we see the Init FTL, where we can see all of our variables here, and if I go all the way to the bottom, I see that include for the Init custom. What this does is it essentially allows us to add in our own custom variables without overwriting anything in the Init FTL. Typically, we do want our custom files in the source folder to overwrite what's in build. In this case, we do not, because that would break everything. So that's why we have the Init custom. So I'm going to go back to the theme source here, Let's go ahead and close the CSS folder, open up templates. We're going to open up the Init custom FTL. So we can see there's already a number of assignments going on here. So these are assignments and if statements for the navigation, as well as the other variables that you can see in the lookandfeel.xml. So if you'd like, you can pause the video, you can take a look at our existing theme settings, and we can go ahead and see what is already set up here. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and find this comment here that says insert snippet 6, and we're going to go ahead and add in our custom settings for the social media icons. So I'm going to type in LFR, I'm going to find snippet 6 for Init custom settings, and I'm going to go ahead and save this here. So this is within this assign bracket here, and we can go ahead and see that we're assigning these new variables to these settings here. So we're basically using the get theme setting, and we are grabbing the key that we set up in the Liferay lookandfeel.xml. So now what we want to do is we want to actually add these icons to our themes footer. So I mentioned in one of the earlier exercises we would come back to this. So this is what we're going to do next. We're going to add it to the theme footer, and then we're going to add our styling there as well. So in terms of process, we have lookandfeel.xml. We make sure to assign those keys as variables in the Init custom, and then we can go ahead and use them within our HTML and style them in our CSS. So just to clean things up a bit, I'm going to go ahead and close these, make sure they're saved. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my footer FTL from my templates folder in here. You should see about in the middle, we have a comment here that says insert snippet 7. So let's go ahead and highlight that. Type in LFR. You should see the 7 snippet, social portal normal. What this is going to do is this is going to give us some styling, but what you'll also see is it's going to include the social media.ftl. So what we're going to do next is we're going to open that up. We're going to add the free marker for our new icons, making use of the variables. So again, this just keeps things distinct like we talked about before when we first added our FTL files. Go ahead and open this up, and we're going to type in LFR, and we're going to choose snippet 8 here. So because this is a configurable setting, we're going to wrap this in an if statement. So if these are set to true on the platform by the administrator, we're going to go ahead and style our icons this way. We have a number of our Fjord classes in use, as well as some of the clay classes, and we have the Twitter and Facebook icons and links referenced here as well. So this gives us what we need for the footer. Again, this can be turned off by the administrator because we made this configurable. So that's why it's important to have this if statement here. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and make sure that all of this is styled properly. So let's go ahead and add some additional SCSS for our footer. So I'm going to close this, go to my CSS folder. We're going to go back to the footer SCSS found in partials. Last time we just added some basic styling here for our links. Now we want to go ahead and add some styling here for our social media links and icons. So type in LFR. We'll go ahead and choose the 10th snippet here. We're specifically styling the Fjord social class within footer, and we're making sure that when someone hovers over this, we're giving them a specific experience. So now that this is done, we can go ahead and deploy our changes. Once we do this, we'll be able to see both the look and feel configuration update for our widgets, as well as the theme settings being available to our administrators, and we should see our footer update as well. So let's go ahead and run gulp deploy again. If you're running gulp watch, you should see these changes already taken. You can see that it's available for use. The module started. I'm going to go ahead and hop back here to my browser. I need to log in here again. So I'm going to refresh. I'm going to sign in, and I see my icons here. If I go to my widget, look and feel configuration, I see my Portlet Decorators here. So we have barebone, borderless, decorate, and solid. Feel free to play around with those if you'd like. And then if I go to site builder, pages, and configuration, I now see that I have a number of administrative options here for my icons, as well as for things like showing the footer, showing header, etc., etc. So this is how you can provide some administrative options to your administrators in order to make sure that if they need to customize the experience, this is an easier method for doing so. So that wraps up the core set of exercises for our theme. In the next section, Alex is going to talk about one of the new options to DXP called Themelets, which are going to be essentially small reusable components that we can add into themes quite easily. So the next exercise, we'll go ahead and create a themelet and walk through adding it to our theme together. And that will wrap up the exercises for Module 2. See you in the next exercise.